Magic were relentless.
Meanwhile, we did get this moment last night.
Uh-oh, Kane turns the corner.
Dunk of the playoffs, right?
Oh my God. I was on a plane. I was like, is this AI? This can't be real. Like, where did this even come from?
Dunk of the playoff, Shams?
Got to be the dunk of the playoffs.
Ooh. Maybe even more than that. So meanwhile, that was Detroit's big highlight. Now here's a battle of #1 picks. Paolo over Cade. Magic by 5. 6 minutes to go. Pistons down 4. Not going away. Tobias Harris. Turnaround to 2-point game. Less than a minute later, we're tied at 85. Banchero in the paint. No good, but Kane is there. Yes, Kane all over the floor. Magic up by 2, and then looking for a dagger. Monica, after we see the Kane put back, where are we going to go? How about Desmond Bane?
Absolutely. A little bit of a fortuitous bank, if you will, but he had earned it. He's been playing great ball in this series.
Orlando wins. The #1 seed Pistons are on the brink. They have been the best team in the Eastern Conference since the first jump ball to open the season in October. The Magic now are the 6th 8 seed to take a 3-1 lead over a 1 seed since seeding began in the early 80s. The lone 8 seed that didn't convert their 3-1 series win was the Magic in 2003, who lost to the Pistons. So we've actually seen this series between these two teams and the team that was down 3-1 come back to win. But this has a different feeling. So I want to go little picture and then big picture. Let's start little picture, Wendy, with this game itself. How do you explain how the Magic were able to do it again last night?
Yeah, the Magic are playing with incredible passion and aggression at the defensive end of the court. This has really been a series about defense. The Magic were not as good defensively as all of us thought they would be during the regular season. Their defensive potential has been unveiled in this postseason. And Cade Cunningham has been running into a wall. There is no reason for the Magic to respect the outside shooting of the Pistons. They have packed the paint. Cade Cunningham keeps trying to force his way into it. He's got 24 turnovers in the past 3 games. And Jalen Duren, it was very unfortunate for Detroit fans, appropriate, that Duren was the one getting dunked on there by Jamal Cain, because after a breakout, spectacular, awesome regular season, Duren has gone away in this series, especially offensively.
And that's the little picture. The big picture, Monica, I've watched 3 of the 4 games in this series. And I think if you took off the seeds, if you didn't know what the seeding was, you would not think it looked like an upset. It would look like the better team has been winning. How do we explain that?
Greeny, to me, and I said this after game 1, this is the worst draw for the Detroit Pistons, because part of what made them so successful during the course of the regular season was their ability to out-physical you and their size in most matchups. The Magic are even, if not better, in that category. When I look at it, we all said, we love what the Pistons are doing. Cade Cunningham should be an MVP candidate. But who else when you get to playoff basketball? And that has come into full bloom as an issue. There is not another creator, let alone the fact that Cade Cunningham is struggling in this series. On the flip side of that, when you look at the Magic roster, you got guys that can go get a bucket for themselves and create for somebody else. When you talk about Wagner, Banchero, Bane, Suggs, and off their bench, you got Anthony Black, guys that can boogie and are pushing this Detroit defense.
What do you think, Shams?
This is why the Pistons at the deadline checked in on Trey Murphy and Lauri Markkanen, and it's now you look into the offseason just a little bit. Whether you win this series or don't win this series, how can you address that need for that secondary star, that secondary scorer? And Trajan Langdon, since he's came into the Detroit Pistons front office a couple of years ago, it's been a patient build. They've got all their assets. They've got tradable contracts. And so last season was this team's first run in the playoffs. Then this year you see what they can do now that they're the 1 seed. There's a lot of optimism the second half of the season. But clearly there's somewhat of a need, right, in that secondary. So I do expect them to be star hunting a little bit, or hunting for that type of player.
So what, just very quickly, when I hear you say star hunting, I mean, that sets off bells in my head. What does star hunting mean? I mean, does that mean we should be expecting them to check in on Giannis?
Well, you look at the profile of player, right? Lauri Markkanen, Trey Murphy, like those are guys in their 20s, in the prime of their career.
Right.
You want players that fit the mold of Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren. That doesn't mean you're not opportunistic if you can get an older type veteran player.
Yeah, but they got to be able to space the floor, so Giannis is probably not it.
So probably not. So Windman, sort of finish this one up for me here. The Pistons, we were talking, you and I, before the show came on the air this morning, about teams that get losing 8 over 1. It's extraordinarily rare in basketball history. You had a lot of perspective on that and sort of what the Pistons are up against at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, we are on the verge of something we almost never see. If you look at 7-game series where the 8 has beaten the 1, it's happened only a handful of times. The last 2 times it happened, the Heat over the Bucks, Giannis got hurt in Game 3, and then Bulls fans will remember the terrible ACL injury in Game 1 back in 2012 to Derrick Rose. So we haven't seen an 8 seed beat a 1 seed without an injury to a star player in basically well over a decade. So that's what's on the table. The one thing I'll say, Franz Wagner, who was finally playing some of his best basketball, suffered a calf injury last night in this game. He had 19 points in 24 minutes. Points are at a huge premium in this series. He's headed for an MRI today. If that is a key factor going forward in this series and potentially even more with the Magic possibly advancing.
So you'll have something on that later. I'll be monitoring your Twitter feed closely.
And MRI's
feels
coming,
critical.
And MRI's coming. The Magic have a mid-afternoon flight, about 3 p.m. flight. So they're expected to know before that flight exactly how bad this calf injury is.
Okay, I love that you know their travel plans. We'll know about Wagner later today. That feels critical because we could be on the verge of a huge upset. Meanwhile, we've got the critical Game 5s on ESPN and the app tonight. You got Jason Tatum and the Celtics looking to end it with the Sixers, then the Trailblazers visiting Wemby and the Spurs. Our coverage begins with NBA tip-off. That's Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, and Charles. Great action coming your way tonight on ESPN. Now, I want to get to a story that you may have seen a little bit yesterday that I think could be absolutely critical to sports as we know them. That's Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby. He's a terrific player. People talk about him as a potential #1 draft pick. He has taken an indefinite leave of absence to enter a residential treatment program for gambling addiction. His decision to seek treatment comes after it was discovered that he made thousands of bets on a variety of sports via a gambling app, which jeopardizes his eligibility with Texas Tech. Sorsby bet on Indiana football while he was a freshman there in 2022. Those bets were on Indiana to win. None of them came in a game in which he appeared. Sorsby then transferred to Cincinnati. Then this offseason, as I mentioned, to Texas Tech. The NCAA is investigating. So I've put together a panel to talk about this, and they include our college reporter, Heather Dinich, and our man, Paul Feinbaum. And I want to start with David Purdom, who reports for us on the business side of the sports betting industry. Here's what I think, David. I think a lot of people may have seen this headline yesterday and don't have a full understanding of what exactly is happening and what it means. So can you set the table for them? What happened yesterday, and what do the fans need to know?
So Sorsby, prized prospect, pro prospect, checked into a rehab facility for a gambling addiction after information came to light that revealed he had been betting heavily during his college players years. And that would have included betting when he's under 21, which was the legal age when he was in Indiana and Ohio. So he was able to evade those reportedly. He reportedly placed thousands of bets in recent years, including on an Indiana football game when he was a freshman quarterback with the Hoosiers. Now, those bets, as you mentioned, were reportedly on Indiana to win, but according to NCAA rules, that doesn't matter. The rules state that players who bet on anything involving their team, no matter if it's to win or if it's to lose or if they played or not, can face permanent loss of eligibility. So the NCAA has to look into this. This is the most prominent college player that's been involved in any of these gambling schemes that have come about. So we're going to have to see what happens, but it's a major, major bombshell for college football.
Absolutely. Permanent loss of eligibility are the words to underline there. Heather, pick it up from there. What else do people need to know about this?
This can impact the Heisman Trophy race. It could impact the Big 12 championship race. It could ultimately impact the college football playoff field. His timetable is unknown because Texas Tech is treating this as a mental health matter, which they should. So they're giving him all the time that he needs to return. His backup, Will Hammond, is out with a right knee injury he suffered last October. And Joey McGuire, the Texas Tech head coach, has said that he cannot return until week 3 at best. That's their season opener against Houston. So the thing that changes everything is you can't go into the portal right now and just pick somebody up. There's no spring portal window, and the NCAA has cracked down on this. So if by chance Texas Tech were going to try to be sneaky and go snag another quarterback who's not from JUCO or Division II, Joey McGuire could be suspended for half the season, and Texas Tech could be fined 20% of their football budget. So this is big implications depending on his timetable, which we don't know.
And so that's sort of the little picture, how it affects them. And that's a huge program all of a sudden. Texas Tech, I'll remind everyone, was the 4 seed in the playoff last year. But it also feels like a much bigger picture issue to me, Paul, and that's why I wanted your perspective on it today. What thoughts are going through your mind?
Greeny, I believe this is the tip of an iceberg. This is a story that a lot of people have been waiting to happen. It was a couple of years ago, the head baseball coach at Alabama bet on games. He was fired immediately. The story went away. But this is such a big story. I called Danny Sheridan last night, the well-known sports handicapping expert. He told me 75% of male college students bet on sports, and more than 25%, according to his research, of athletes. This could be an epidemic proportion and an epidemic of a scandal. Greeny, and here's the most interesting part. The NCAA has been asking for this.